Tonight, pressure grows on Victoria to relax the nation's harshest restrictions as other states wind back their lockdowns. The Bluetooth handshake. Scott Morrison pushes ahead with the federal government's COVID tracking app. Inside Melbourne's secret stockpile of vital medical supplies to keep us COVID safe. New clues on whether Kim Jong-un is dead or alive. Tributes and heartache as families mourn the lost police heroes in the Eastern Freeway tragedy. And health chiefs set to consider plans to get the footy back.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. Australia's national unity in dealing with the COVID crisis is under further strain tonight, with 2 states easing their lockdown restrictions. Western Australia and Queensland are making significant moves to allow residents much more freedom, piling pressure on Victoria to loosen the harshest lockdown laws in the country.
As long queues returned to Queen Victoria Market, there's pressure mounting against Victoria's strict lockdown laws.
The people are sick of it. We're angry. We're getting off our knees. We've had enough.
It's already underway interstate. WA is lifting its gathering limit from 2 to 10 from tomorrow. Plus, it's allowing picnics, hiking, boating and camping. Wedding numbers can be doubled. Personal training groups will be allowed, and up to 10 people can inspect a property for sale. Queenslanders can also have a picnic from Saturday. Plus, they can go for a drive, ride a motorbike for recreation and even shop for non-essential items.
They are low risk but deliver high social benefits.
This is a very small step and it's one that we really need the public to 100% cooperate with.
Some Victorians believe we should join them.
Things are overkill.
Slightly easing some of the areas, and especially for the shops that are, under pressure.
But our health authorities say now is not the time.
Victoria has done things differently to other jurisdictions. We make a judgment about our local circumstances.
Victoria's death toll rose yesterday to 17, a man in his 90s, the latest victim, but just 3 new cases, one of them becoming the 16th infected in a cluster linked to the Albert Road Clinic, as police continue to issue fines. Another 87 yesterday, while others are pushing the limits.
Does the state of emergency override our human rights?
Cranbourne martial arts instructor Nick Patterson was confronted by police as he trained 15 people inside his gym, but he refused to let the officers in and they left.
I think this is a huge human rights violation.
Yesterday's protest in Gippsland, where police fined none of the 70 who broke the law, was organised by mother of 3 Prue Foley.
We've had enough. We want some answers, Daniel Andrews.
And more protests are coming.
This is the first of many.
More people are actually going out and beginning in their own small, quiet ways to defy these lockdowns.
Topher Field spoke at the protest and says the extreme danger has subsided and healthy people need to get back to work.
What we're going to see, though, is a continuous escalation in the number of protests and the size of those protests until some common sense is enacted.
We're not America. People can argue over whether all the restrictions are perfect, but for goodness sake, people shouldn't be disregarding the rules or having protests like that.
This is tipped to be the location for the next protest against the lockdown laws. Friday afternoon at 3:30, Ackland Street, St Kilda. Organisers say they don't want any trouble, they just want supporters for what they call a rebellion against these draconian laws. But with 5 days to go until then, it's not yet clear how many people might turn up. But Mike, no doubt police will be among them.
No doubt, Paul Dowsley, thank you. Just a few minutes ago, the federal government's COVID Trace app has gone live across the country, letting health authorities warn you if you've come in contact with someone who has coronavirus. We're being guaranteed the best safeguards are in place to ensure your data is secure.
It's the one handshake that is encouraged during lockdown.
This operates by a Bluetooth handshake, and right now it's the only safe handshake we're allowed to have.
The COVID Safe phone app available from today to help alert people who've been in contact with an infected person.
It's to protect our nurses and our doctors, our families, our friends and ourselves.
Recording contact between users via Bluetooth, storing the data on secure servers. Users lodging only their name, even a fake name if they like, age range and postcode, under what the government says are the toughest security protections.
You know, nothing's 100% secure, but I think this is a very good example of how to do it right.
No one has access to it, not even yourself, no Commonwealth officials.
Only state health authorities will have that access when a user tests positive, sending alerts to those who've been within 1.5 metres of that person for more than 15 minutes.
This app could play a constructive role in helping defeat COVID-19.
The government says there'll need to be a 40% take-up rate for the app to be most effective. And despite community scepticism, even among some government MPs, the Chief Medical Officer says he's confident we'll beat that.
Good uptake, in my mind, would be well over half the people, and I reckon we'll get it.
And he says the more who download the app, the sooner he'll be able to recommend an easing of restrictions. Health professionals lining up to support it.
As a doctor, I will be downloading COVID Safe app tonight.
This is how you can do your part to help us.
With the big sell beginning tonight.
It'll help us stop the spread sooner so we can get back to the things we love.
But the word on the street?
Definitely not interested.
It doesn't really faze me.
What business is it of theirs where I am and what I'm doing?
Suggesting there's still some convincing to do. Mark Riley, 7 News.
A big shipment of vital medical supplies has just arrived in Melbourne. Let's bring in Blake Johnson for the details. And Blake, they're being stored in a secret location.
And Mark, it's been kept secret because of the value of what is in this warehouse, and also because a similar warehouse in Queensland was recently broken into and raided. But this is what $10 million worth of medical supplies looks like. This place is huge. It is aisle after aisle of boxes stacked almost to the roof. The floor print of this place is about half that of the MCG. And inside all those boxes, you'll find tons of medical supplies like N95 surgical masks, hand sanitizer, gloves and gowns for Melbourne health workers. This place belongs to Monash Health. They took it over in just August last year. Little did we or they know that in 6 months they'd be in the middle of a pandemic. This warehouse is expected to be one of the busiest in Melbourne in coming weeks. There's roughly $3 million of equipment coming and going every day, supplying hospitals, nurses, doctors and the like, making sure that our healthcare workers are being kept as safe as they can as we fight this pandemic. Mike?
Blake Johnson, thank you. There are new calls for parents to be allowed to take their children back to school, but the government is maintaining its hard line, demanding they stay at home.
Homeschooling tests the patience of parents and students as we stop the spread. Now the opposition wants Victoria to match other states where schools are slowly reopening.
Parents are telling us that this is tough. People are trying to juggle jobs and looking after their kids.
It may be that kids who are very minimally symptomatic could transmit to other children. It can be a contribution to community transmission.
The biggest study of Australian schools during the pandemic has found no evidence of students spreading it to teachers. The study followed 15 New South Wales schools where 18 people had coronavirus. Of the 835 students and staff who had close contact with them, just 2 tested positive. Students in New South Wales will soon return to school 1 day a week. And in Western Australia, they can return to class as early as this Wednesday. Here, only vulnerable children or those of essential workers like Carl and Judith David may attend class.
Interact, feel normal again. You know, the thing about the corona is that, you know, it's not normal, and everything they love to do, they can't do. So being back at school was something they really loved.
The opposition's come up with a list of proposed safeguards to help speed up a return to class. Staggered drop-off and pick-up times, extra funds for deep cleaning and hand sanitizer, a ban on parents entering schools, plus a ban on extracurricular activities and contact sports.
What I'm saying is we should be shifting the balance more towards on-site.
Let me be very clear, tweets Education Minister James Merlino. We will only transition back to face-to-face teaching for all students when that is the advice of the Chief Health Officer, not a moment before. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
The global death toll from COVID-19 has reached a sad new milestone. More than 200,000 people have now succumbed to the virus worldwide. A quarter of those who have died are in the United States, while the United Kingdom has recorded more than 20,000 deaths. Here at home, 81 people have died, just 0.0405% of the total. Boris Johnson is returning to work tomorrow after his own coronavirus battle, but the World Health Organization says it's still not clear whether people who've had COVID-19 can get it a second time. Immunity is considered a key requirement to lifting restrictions, but scientists believe it's too early to know.
One of the first countries to be hit hard by coronavirus outside China, Iran, where life has returned to the streets as the holy month of Ramadan begins. People are scared to come in, this shopkeeper says, and they have good reason to be scared. Dozens of people are still dying here every day from the virus as nations grapple with choosing the right time to lift lockdowns. In Berlin, protests. Where restrictions have only been partially lifted. The World Health Organization now says one option for helping to ease draconian rules, so-called immunity passports, won't work. The hope is an antibody test can check whether someone has already had COVID-19, allowing them to travel again, return to work and the community. But WHO doctors say there is currently no evidence that people who have recovered from COVID-19 and have antibodies are protected from a second infection. And if people think they won't get sick again, they may no longer protect themselves and others. The WHO believes that false sense of security could ultimately lead to increased transmission of the virus, saying more research is needed. In Britain, the official death toll has now passed 20,000 and rising, a key benchmark the government was hoping would be the final death toll.
As the deaths caused by this terrible virus pass another tragic and terrible milestone, the entire nation is grieving.
Only now is the UK said to be considering forcing people travelling in from overseas into 14 days quarantine. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
A special Qantas flight from Buenos Aires is in the air and due to touch down shortly at Tullamarine. QF 7028 is carrying 150 Australians and 20 New Zealanders who have been stranded in South America since the coronavirus outbreak. The crew and its passengers acknowledged Anzac Day on the journey.
I think it's a symbol of the Anzac spirit and for me a great way to honour my grandfather.
After the 15-hour flight, the passengers will be forced to quarantine in Melbourne hotels for a fortnight. Satellite images of a parked train suggest Kim Jong-un may have been at his holiday compound in the past few days. The images show a train at a station reserved for the Kim family. The North Korean leader hasn't been seen for more than 2 weeks. There are reports he's gravely ill or even dead after heart surgery. The international community is concerned because Kim Jong-un has no clear successor.
These are very important developments because, after all, North Korea is now a nuclear power. And so that's our basic worry about North Korea. Who's going to get the nuclear weapons if the country falls into chaos?
The satellite images were analysed by a Washington-based North Korea monitoring project. It says the pictures lend weight to reports Kim is staying at the luxury resort. Tributes are continuing for the 4 police officers killed in the Eastern Freeway tragedy, including heartbreaking childhood photos posted by the brother of one of the victims. Police still haven't been able to interview the truck driver who ploughed into the officers after they'd pulled over a speeding Porsche.
This is exemplary dedication. A highway patrol member doing what cost the lives of 4 of his colleagues on Wednesday night. He's in almost the exact location of the horrific crash, caused after police pulled over mortgage broker Richard Pusey in his speeding Porsche. Despite the heartache caused by the tragedy, today drivers rarely slowed down as they passed by the policeman. The truck driver involved in the crash is yet to provide his version of events. It'll be up to medical staff at the Royal Melbourne Hospital to decide when Mahinder Singh Bajwa is ready to be interviewed by investigators. The Australian Federal Police has refused to clarify the relationship between Richard Pusey and one of its agents. Pusey called the officer after he left the scene of the crash, but the AFP has refused to say if he was told to hand himself in or if that information was passed on to Victoria Police. Supposed supporters of 41-year-old Pussy have formed groups on social media. Victoria Police has asked Facebook to remove the forums, which include requests for copies of vision and photos of the crash scene. Those with heavy hearts have continued to share their grief at the Boroondara police station. Dozens of bunches of flowers surround the entrance. And a heartbreaking tribute from the brother of victim, Constable Josh Presney, posting photos of the pair growing up, mourning the loss of his big brother, his protector, his best mate. Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
We have fresh information tonight about the path towards AFL's return. Tom Brown's at league headquarters for us. And Tom, the nation's chief medicos are set to discuss plans this week.
They are, Mike. Good evening. Behind the scenes, the AFL's been working hard on this plan, and it will get its first chance to present the plan to those chief medicos later this week. Of course, May 10 is the key D-Day in terms of the decision. In contrast to the AFL, in contrast to the NRL, the AFL is working every day with these government officials on consultation. They'll have specific access to tests, specific access to these isolated hubs, and they'll be able to present those plans. Meantime, Damien Hardwick flagged today that players will only need 2 weeks to train before they can play.
To consider what would be the parameters upon which the National Cabinet may feel that it's safe to let them recommence crowd-free matches.
I can't see us going into a 3 to 4 week training block to start the season. I think our players would, 2 weeks maybe, and then get the game up and going.
Mike, they're important comments from Hardwick because it gives hope to footy fans. We could see play games in late June or early July. Here's hoping, Mike.
Oh, absolutely, Tom. Thank you. Let's look ahead to more sport now with Jackie Felgate.
Hello, Mike. The AFL is now facing a showdown with players over family access to quarantine hubs. We'll have all the details. Also, what's the story with Jack? Find out when the former Demon will finally make his footy comeback. The Brisbane Lions young gun milking 700 cows a day. And a former Saints player's big punt on an NFL career comes off. We will tell you which club he's going to play for soon, Mike.
If you're milking 700 cows a day, you're looking forward to AFL footy coming back. Thanks, Jack. If you're getting sick of lockdown, spare a thought for Australia's unluckiest travellers forced into isolation not once but 3 times. Plus a health warning for residents after a factory fire in Melbourne's southeast. How Anzac Day was commemorated on the other side of the world. And later, restaurant quality produce delivered to your door.
Seven News, brought to you by Business Australia.
If you're in business in Australia, right now you're facing one of your toughest challenges. It's not business as usual, and it's hard to know where to turn. Business Australia can help you manage your responsibilities to your employees, look after their health and well-being, and assist with strategies to maintain and sustain your business. We've been helping Australian businesses through thick and thin for 194 years, and we're here for you now. For free advice and support, visit businessaustralia.com.
Amazing.
Next, the whole house reveal.
You hit the bloody jackpot. Congratulations, mate.
It'll make history.
Wow.
As the best transformation ever.
Oh my God.
But there's one opinion that matters most. What will Mum think?
I'm really shaking. I'm so happy for you.
The must-see whole house reveal coming up next on 7.
The BHP Vital Resources Fund is providing financial support to regional health services to help them deliver the essential services their communities need to meet the coronavirus challenge. For more information, visit bhp.com/vitalresources.
An important message from the Victorian Government about coronavirus. Stay home. Protect our health system. Save lives. Victorian Government, managing this together.
Telstra's smart modem is backed up by Australia's best 4G network. So if the connection to your house stops, your home Wi-Fi won't. Experience better Wi-Fi with Telstra.
I just went and got some milk. Just like a chocolate milkshake, only crunchy. Who won the race to the shop? I did.
If you've been injured, talk directly to a lawyer, not a call centre.
If you don't win, there's no fee. Call Arnold Thomas and Becker, specialising in injury compensation for over 50 years.
Give your home a refresh with the latest winter essentials from Maya. With 15% off the original price of appliances by Breville, Philips, Tefal, Panasonic and iRobot. And 30% off selected quilt covers, sheets and towels.
Maya, my store.
At Nature's Own, we've spent over 40 years building our knowledge of the body. We know just 3 millimetres of knee cartilage could be the difference between a night on the couch and a 5K run. And that B vitamins help turn your food into energy. You can be cool! Because the more we understand our bodies, the more we can unlock our natural potential. Nature's Own. Be body smart.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
A coronavirus case on a Virgin flight from Melbourne to Brisbane has forced a pair of Queensland grandparents into self-quarantine for a third time. The O'Briens' 9-week ordeal to get home to the Gold Coast could make them Australia's unluckiest travellers.
Heading into Robina Hospital for testing, the O'Briens' holiday drama takes another unwanted turn.
We found out that one of the passengers had COVID-19.
This was last Monday. The pair elated, landing in Brisbane after being stuck for 7 weeks between the Vasco da Gama cruise ship and the Crown Casino in Perth.
I would love to get down and kiss the ground right now. It's just so good to be home.
They boarded the Vasco da Gama in Singapore on the 9th of March, setting off for Fremantle. 3 weeks later, they arrived in Perth, isolated at the Crown Casino for another 3 weeks. Finally boarding flight VA 431 from Perth to Brisbane via Melbourne on Monday afternoon. Rows 17 to 21 now told to isolate, with a passenger testing positive to the virus. The O'Briens were sitting in row 22.
We're still trying to track down 2 people.
The O'Briens believe everyone on flight VA 431 should self-isolate because social distancing wasn't adhered to on the plane and passengers moved around after it took off.
I think there was about 6 or 7 rows with 3 people across. All flights are supposed to have the centre aisle vacant.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
Melbourne hospitals have seen a spike in serious injuries as people stuck at home try their hand at DIY projects and new hobbies. Falls from ladders, exercise injuries and kitchen burns are now commonplace and tying up valuable resources at our emergency departments.
When you're locked down at home day in, day out, it's easy to spot a problem that needs fixing.
Painting. I'm doing a kennel for the dog, actually.
Doing like a garden bed, for my apartment.
According to Bunnings, 65% of Aussies have at least one unfinished DIY project at home. But as we become handier around the house, we're also putting ourselves at increased risk.
People are climbing up ladders to fix the gutters. People are climbing up ladders to fix the roof. People are climbing up ladders to adjust the swing.
At-home injuries accounted for the highest number of presentations to the Alfred's emergency room over the last 3 weeks. And it's not just home improvements that pose a risk. Hobbies, sports and even cooking can all cause serious injury.
Anything from bleeding on the brain to broken necks to broken ribs to the collapsed lung.
Doctors want to remind the community emergency departments are open and you should seek medical advice if you're unwell. But many at-home injuries are avoidable and could be draining resources from those who need them.
Be patient so that you can avoid becoming a patient.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Police are treating a fire that erupted in a Melbourne factory this morning as suspicious. It started just after 8 this morning in Notting Hill. More than 20 officers fought the blaze. It took almost an hour to bring it under control. The building was unoccupied. A smoke warning was issued to nearby residents. Sombre and simple Anzac Day services have been held across Europe in the face of coronavirus restrictions. In Belgium, a soul bugler played the last post at the Menin Gate to the missing. While in France, Australian and New Zealand representatives laid wreaths at the Arc de Triomphe. And a simple ceremony also took place near the battlefields at Villers-Bretonneux. We recorded some decent overnight rain totals, and there's a lot more on the way. Melinda Saris joins us now. Mel, where did most of the rain fall?
Well, Mike, we had totals of between 20 and 40 millimetres overnight, and most of it fell over the northwest and across central eastern ranges as well. All of our alpine areas had decent totals. 43 fell at Mount Donabuang, 37 at Falls Creek, 31 at Mount Buller. Closer in, Yarra Glen had 25 millimetres, Scoresby with 21, 16 fell at Essendon, and the city had 14. All of that rainfall happened before dawn. Those showers contracted to the east during the morning, so since 9 a.m. we've seen totals below 5 millimetres right across the city. The next 2 days will be dry and mild, but this significant weather system will arrive in the middle of the week and it will be very cold and wet as well. I'll have all those details after sport, Mike.
Thanks, Mel. A fisherman barely staying above water. See the moment he was saved in a surf tragedy that claimed his mate. Plus, Australia's red dirt parking lot. Extraordinary pictures as the world's biggest planes gather dust in the Alice. Car parts to face masks. Toyota's 60-second COVID shield, where they're rolling them out. Plus, blown tyres and 20 k's an hour. The police chased so slow, spectators took selfies.
In Australian criminal history, no case has ever been like this.
Diane, it's been a long time. Time to talk.
Each family member, all prime suspects.
Kenny, did you murder your father?
Bang, bang, bang. You will witness every bizarre development and an unmissable ending no one saw coming. The gripping 7 News investigation, Family of Suspects, tonight 8:30 on 7.
Hi, it's Matt Preston here in my lockdown kitchen, and the constant battle is working out what you're going to cook for dinner. So I've got a very simple idea, and it uses this, my favourite vegetable. That is, isn't that stunning? The cauliflower. You can roast it. In this case, we're going to use this cauliflower in a pasta along with bacon and also some cheese. It's totally delicious. I hope you're going to love it. We're going to start by breaking down the cauliflower. We want to cut it into florets because what we're going to do is actually going to cook the pasta and the cauliflower together. So this is the sort of size we want our cauliflower to be. Try and keep the cauliflower similar size so they all cook evenly. So all those little bits that have fallen off, we're going to fry those up. So cut our leaves into little bitey-sized pieces. And here we've got our delicious cauliflower florets. They're going to go into our pasta water. Right, it's time to cook our pasta. It couldn't be easier. I've got some water boiling on the stove, a big salty pot of water. I've also got some little bit of oil in a pan, frying pan. I'm going to cook the bacon and the stems in. In goes our penne. Give it a stir. Now, bring it back to the boil, and when it's boiling, we'll just turn it down to a simmer and cook the pasta until it's al dente. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this pot over here so I can start on the bacon. Straight into the pan with about 4 or 5, 6 rashers of bacon. Along with the bacon, I'm going to throw in all those cauliflower stalks as well to toast at the same time. When that starts to cook, we'll just throw in 5 cloves of garlic. But that smells unbelievable. Right, our pasta's got maybe 4 more minutes to cook, so I'm going to throw in the cauliflower florets now, and the pasta water will cook them and also season them, because that water, remember, is seasoned. So our bacon's done, and now it's just a matter of draining the pasta with the cauliflower in it and mixing the two together. Now, the most important thing here is to remember to reserve just a little bit of pasta water, because we're going to use that to deglaze all those burny, toasty juices around here on the pan. That's all delicious flavour there. So you get a really lovely silky sauce that coats the pasta. Final thing to add, a little bit of grated cheese. Honestly, I'd use Parmesan, but you could use Pecorino, you could use Tasty, it really doesn't matter. Next up, black pepper. I think essential for this dish. Right, here's our fantastic cauliflower and bacon pasta. Super simple, super easy. Well, oh, it smells amazing. So there you have it. My simple, easy cauliflower and bacon pasta. It's a favourite in my house. I hope it becomes a favourite in yours, whether you're by yourself or whether you're with your family in self-isolation. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Cheers.
Dramatic pictures have emerged of a surf rescue that ended in tragedy for two mates. A fisherman is barely staying above water after being swept off rocks by a freak wave near Margaret River in Western Australia.
I was like tossing fro, like in the middle of the waves. I let myself float and just like praying, like hopefully my other friend is okay.
Christopher Salazar was winched out, still looking for his friend who sadly couldn't be rescued. We have remarkable pictures tonight of an aviation parking lot growing in Australia's Red Centre. For the very first time, an Airbus A380 touched down in Alice Springs today, joining more than a dozen grounded planes, gathering dust as far from the ocean as possible.
Nothing this big has ever landed in the Alice. A thrill for local plane spotters when the Singapore Airlines A380s touched down this morning. More than a dozen planes are now sitting in a storage facility at the Outback Airport, with more coming.
So there's potential for up to over 100 aircraft to be here before the end of the year.
At the start of the coronavirus pandemic, the big challenge was keeping planes in the air. But with 16,000 passenger planes around the world now grounded, the problem is finding somewhere to park them. Most Australian airports are packed with domestic planes. At Perth and Adelaide airports, Virgin's fleet isn't just grounded, it's also being guarded for collateral. International carriers are looking to Alice Springs Airport for its size and the weather.
The big issue with storing aeroplanes is moisture, so the drier the location, the better.
This is not like parking a car. Planes require serious maintenance, flying or not.
So a large amount of work goes into preparing the aircraft for storage. Once that's complete, the aircraft are then maintained every week on increasing rates of maintenance.
Keeping them airworthy until we're finally allowed to fly again could cost up to $5,000 for each plane each month. Angela Cox, 7 News.
Car giant Toyota has joined the fight against COVID-19, using its production skills to make face shields for frontline health workers. The first batch was donated to the Alfred Hospital on Friday. The cutting-edge design weighs just 58 grams and can be made in 60 seconds. It's the brainchild of Will Taylor, one of Toyota's colour and coating technicians.
All these things had to be flat packed, had to be easy. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just went, oh yeah, I got it. And then went down to one of our suppliers, grabbed hold of a piece of plastic and a pair of scissors and started cutting.
Toyota is also using its empty cafeteria at head office to prepare and deliver food to medical workers. Australian cattle are being used in an extraordinary race against time to save lives during the COVID-19 pandemic. Heart tissue has been flown to the other side of the world to make heart valves for patients.
Precious cargo loaded on a Mercy flight to the US. Inside, a lifeline which COVID-19 nearly stopped.
And when all of a sudden our normal flights got cancelled, as you can imagine, we got very nervous.
These boxes carry Queensland cattle tissue, the crucial ingredient to make valves for heart patients. Destination, Los Angeles, and medical company Edwards Life Sciences.
More than 90% of Australia's exports usually go out in the bellies of passenger aircraft. And of course, those passenger planes basically aren't flying.
If we're unable to provide heart valves, then all of the heart replacements that happen around the world would be at risk.
Adding to the pressure, a tight deadline. If the consignment doesn't make it, it's no longer usable.
So literally, if it goes beyond 96 hours and 1 minute, we have to throw it away.
And the production just as intricate as the transfer. To make one heart valve alone, it takes nearly 150 employees, 6 weeks of testing, 40 days to make, and around 1,000 stitches to put together.
And it's not just quality of life, it's actually life or death.
Thankfully, space was found on 2 Qantas flights to get the supplies on time.
Yeah, it's great that we can help people either save lives or give them a better life.
Brittany Lane, 7 News.
Alarming new research shows children under the age of 5 are not getting their flu shots. The vaccines are available free on the National Immunisation Program, but a university study has found only a third of parents were aware that children under the age of 5 should get their shots annually. After more than 40 coronavirus task force briefings, Donald Trump did not address the American people today, saying they get nothing but fake news from his usual daily appearances. But critics suggest he's been sidelined following his embarrassing claim about injecting disinfectant as a potential treatment.
After weeks at the lectern,
thank you very much, everyone.
Donald Trump skipped his daily briefing, explaining his absence on Twitter. What is the purpose of having White House news conferences when the lamestream media asks nothing but hostile questions and then refuses to report the truth or facts accurately? Not worth the time and effort. There are suggestions the White House might scale back news conferences after the president questioned injecting disinfectant as a coronavirus treatment.
I would suggest the media not take him out of context. I think this president has consistently said from the beginning that people should consult with their doctors.
They're warning of another grim American milestone, almost 1 million cases of COVID-19, a quarter of the world's deaths, with more than 53,000 lives lost. Still, the nation is slowly reopening. New York's governor planning a brief excursion.
Get out of the house, hike until they are fatigued and exhausted, because exhaustion is our friend.
Californians are countering a heat wave in the waves as temperatures hit the mid-30s.
I wanted to get my feet in the water, but it seems kind of early to me.
For those who couldn't make it to the beach, the city set up so-called cooling centres, air-conditioned town halls where those on lockdown could safely escape the heat.
It's kind of hard to stay inside. It's very tempting to get out of the house.
And tempting to let safety measures slide.
When you put your mask on, it's just like it's hot. It's hard to breathe.
In Los Angeles, Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Thousands of people have united in an extraordinary protest in Israel. This is what a socially distanced demonstration looks like. Several thousand people deliberately spaced out and wearing face masks. They were protesting a government deal that leaves Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in power as he prepares for a corruption trial. Critics argue the deal, which gives Netanyahu influence over the appointment of judges, crushes democracy. And it was certainly one of LA's slower police chases. A suspected drunk driver with 4 blown tyres dragging a spike strip, still trying to outrun officers. After an hour, police came in with the pit manoeuvre.
Here comes the pit. They're going to take him out right now. Here it goes. And that is going to do it. They're going to push him down the street a little bit.
He surrendered while the car was still moving face down on the road. Melbourne families are enjoying 5-star food at home with restaurant-quality produce delivered to their door. Find out how just ahead. Plus, what led to a man being crushed on a freeway off-ramp. How all on board a Russian helicopter survived this. And caught by stargazers, the meteorite came crashing to Earth.
I have been watching you, Australia. You see, I never went away. And now, I am ready to play. Welcome to my brand new house.
I gotta be me.
In every room, between every wall, and around every corner, I will be there, watching and listening.
I wanna live.
There is nowhere to run.
Not merely survive.
There is nowhere to hide.
And I won't give up this dream of life that keeps me alive.
I have searched for a new breed of housemate.
I gotta be me.
To play my game. But nothing will prepare them for what I've got planned.
What else can I be but
My house. My rules. My game. Who wins? You decide.
I gotta be me.
Big brother, what are you playing at?
I am Big Brother.
Their doors might be closing, but they're always open on eBay. Stay home, shop online and help support 40,000 Aussie retailers.
Special K. Rise with us. Rise with protein for muscle. Rise with iron for energy. Set goals, then kick them. Special K, powering you.
Want skincare from natural ingredients? Try Sukin from Chemist Warehouse. Rose, hip and avocado nourish the skin, leaving it looking smooth and healthy. Sukin's signature facial moisturiser is $5.47. Live, look, feel fabulous at Chemist Warehouse.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
The MS Dream Home Lottery is already over 50% sold. Because how many can win a $1.5 million grand prize? 2K. That's right. Hurry and get your tickets today.
You don't give in. You don't give up. It's called Aussie Spirit. And it takes spirit to get through times like these. It's what inspires us to help. Together we'll get through this. Search Toyota, here to help.
With more than 20% protein for muscle development, Nutri-Grain is one of the highest protein cereals.
A man has suffered leg injuries after being crushed up against a roadside barrier at Southbank. The 27-year-old St Albans man was changing a car tyre when another car slammed into the back of it. The driver of the second car went to hospital. Police want to speak to a male driver who stopped at the scene. The coronavirus has changed the way we're feeding our families. Quality produce that used to be sold to restaurants is now being home delivered, while many families are finding new ways to source homegrown fruit and veggies.
COVID-19 kitchens now fresher than ever.
Some homegrown eggplant here.
Brenton Hall has an abundance of fresh produce from his veggie garden, and now there's a way to share the fruits of his labour.
We've been trading a lot of herbs like rosemary and some oregano.
University student Joe Sinclair has created the Sprout app, a virtual market garden. By pinning a location on a map, other growers signed up to the app can buy, swap and sell fruit, veggies, eggs and honey.
I've seen people asking to barter on these groups and saying, hey, I've got pumpkins and zucchinis, does anyone have tomatoes and carrots that I can trade for?
In some kitchens, pandemic pantries are now overflowing with restaurant quality ingredients. Fitzroy Whole Foods warehouse is now making home deliveries after demand for high-end produce from top restaurants dried up. Using the food tech app Fresho, customers order a wide range of specialty products online.
Beach bananas and ice plant, other things like rainbow Dutch carrots, champagne watermelon.
We don't want to get too close to people, and just being able to get beautiful quality produce at home without having to deal with that has been a real relief.
Karen O'Sullivan, 7 News.
All 8 people on board a Russian helicopter have survived this crash while travelling towards a gas field just above the Arctic Circle. Investigators are still trying to work out what went wrong. And a meteorite has exploded across the night sky before crashing in Brazil. A local observatory caught the moment, reporting that it entered the atmosphere at an altitude of about 100 kilometres, exploding about 40 k's later. No damage was reported. Not quite as spectacular as a meteorite, but arriving soon as well. But here's Jackie Felgate. What did I just try to say, Jack?
I don't know, but I am here with sport. Thank you, Mike. Yes, the league is now facing a showdown with players over family access to quarantine hubs. We'll have all the details next. Plus, what's the story with Jack? Find out when the former Demon will finally make his comeback. The Lions' young gun back home in Victoria milking 700 cows a day. A former Saint signed by the Detroit Lions in the NFL. And how coronavirus saved our BMX Queen's Tokyo bid.
It's amazing.
Next, the whole house reveal.
You hit the bloody jackpot. Congratulations, mate.
It'll make history.
Wow.
As the best transformation ever. The must-see whole house reveal coming up next on 7.
You don't give in. You don't give up. You push on when most would have pushed off. You lend a hand, whether a hand was asked for or not. It's called Aussie Spirit for good reason, because it takes spirit to get through times like these. Lucky you've got it in spades. It's what inspires us to be by your side to help. Together we'll get through this. We always do. Search Toyota, here to help.
Woolworths online shopping is back for all customers. We have thousands of extra delivery and pickup windows now open to serve even more customers. Visit woolworths.com.au and start shopping today.
A lot of people have sensitive teeth, but gum health is really important as well. If you've got sensitive teeth, you should be looking for something to help with the sensitivity, but you should also be thinking about, do I need to look after my gums? Using the new Sensodyne Sensitivity and Gum toothpaste not only deals with sensitivity, it also maintains gum health when used twice a day, every day. I think it's fantastic to have a dual action toothpaste. 2 benefits with the one toothpaste. What a great idea.
It's horrible.
Shut up and take my money.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Welcome back. Hundreds of AFL players could be sacked if Richmond coach Damien Hardwick's dire prediction about savage cuts to list sizes becomes a reality. And as Tom Brown explains, the league is facing a showdown with players over family access to quarantine hubs.
Coaches' boxes like this will be a thing of the past. Damien Hardwick explaining it'll be tough to decide which assistants to cut.
The landscape and the new economy that we consistently hear and talk about at the AFL is that the soft cap is going to come into play and going to be reduced by a significant amount. And, you know, whether it's 30%, 40%, we're not too sure.
To save money, the AFL will also reduce club playing lists. And the dual premiership coach thinks they should be cut at a similar rate.
What's going to come with that, I think, is, in effect, the playing list has to be cut at a similar rate for mine.
Teams currently have up to 44 players on their list. And while a cut to 35 has been mooted, Hardwick is suggesting we could see an even bigger cut.
The reality of the situation is we, at the moment, are a performance and development industry. And if we go down this path, it's primarily going to become a performance industry for mine. So the lists will probably be reduced from that point of view.
And family access to hubs has become a big issue. Facing up to 8 weeks isolated, Adelaide captain Rory Sloane wants to take his family. But an 18-team hub for players and officials only could already, on rough estimates, cost the AFL more than $200,000 a day. Another complication, the AFL wants to regularly COVID test players. There is only limited access to tests, so given families in hubs would have to be tested too, it would tie up limited resources. And with a shortened season this year, there's been questions what that means for Port coach Ken Hinkley, given he's no guarantee next year unless in his contract he makes finals for the Port president. David Koch clarified this situation on radio today, saying he's very confident that Hinkley will be the Port coach next year. It's not a guarantee, Jack, but it's a good indication, Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much, Tom. The AFL shutdown has been welcomed by former Demon Jack Watts, who's back in Melbourne with his family. The Port Adelaide utility hasn't played an AFL game since badly breaking his leg more than a year ago, but says he'll be ready to go as soon as the league resumes.
Back home in Melbourne, Jack Watts is preparing for his long-awaited comeback.
The old Jack Watts bike, so I do some of my best work on there.
Although Victoria's golf ban is driving him crazy.
It's a bit of a disaster. I sort of wish I was back in SA.
Besides the lack of golf, the AFL shutdown has been a blessing in disguise for the 29-year-old who suffered a badly broken leg in round 2 last year.
Oh, yeah, that's not a good one.
And he hasn't played since.
A pretty long road, to be honest, and I have a very large appreciation for anyone that's come back from long-term injury, because it's a lot tougher than what I ever thought, that's for sure.
It's been more than a year since the former Demons #1 draft pick played a senior AFL game.
I got back and I played one practice game, and then I had a bit of a hiccup with the foot and the leg, and so that set me back. So then I probably wasn't going to be ready until round 4 or 5 or 6 anyway.
Watts is planning to be back in South Australia mid-May.
Once we finally get back into it, we'll be cherry ripe and ready to go.
He's out of contract at season's end, but isn't worried about the AFL's plan to shrink the size of playing lists.
For me, I guess it would just be a relief to get out and play. It's not really to prove anything to anyone else.
Sean Sowerby, 7 News.
Brisbane young gun Hugh McCluggage is spending lockdown at his family's dairy farm near Warrnambool. And with no footy to occupy his time, the 22-year-old is instead milking 700 cows a day.
From the Lions midfield to wide open fields.
Just heading off to the dairy now, do some fencing, but before I head off, I'll give you guys a quick tour around.
The McCluggage Dairy Farm, 600 acres, 700 milkers.
Here's the cows, this is where the magic happens.
20 minutes outside Warrnambool, Jonathan Brown country.
Here we got the calves, middle of the calving season at the moment, so Dad's flat out delivering them. I'm absolutely loving it, to be honest. It's great to be able to get back and have a bit of space. I think that's the best thing about it. Be able to go outside, kick the footy around.
Following the club's training program, you get the feeling Hugh's benefiting just as much from Dad's.
He's just got me doing the easy jobs, a bit of fencing and running around and cleaning the paddocks up while he's busy with calving, so it's been good.
Blistered hands suggest otherwise. That country work ethic's seen the 22-year-old named in the All-Australian squad and Lions leadership group.
When you're out there and you've got blisters on the hands from the shovel, or you see what people are doing in the workforces, and I can really appreciate being able to play footy for a job.
Ben Davis, 7 News.
Former St Kilda forward Aaron Sipos has signed to play in America's NFL. The 27-year-old, who played 28 games for the Saints, was overlooked in the NFL draft, but minutes after was signed by the Detroit Lions as an undrafted free agent. Sipos switched codes after being delisted by the Saints following 3 shoulder reconstructions. The Aussie has been punting for Auburn University in Alabama since 2018. Cricket Australia boss Kevin Roberts says Prime Minister Scott Morrison will consider granting travel exemptions that could pave the way for the T20 World Cup and India's tour of Australia to go ahead as scheduled. Australia's Chief Medical Officer Brendan Murphy says he will look at the proposals.
There would need to be a lot of safeguards, particularly if it was talking about teams coming from a country with a high rate of transmission. That would be a concern, and we would obviously need to mitigate that. And there are mitigations that could be in place, but it's very early in this process.
The World Cup is more than 5 months away. While the Tokyo Olympics delay has rocked many athletes, it's been a blessing in disguise for what's shaping as an incredible comeback story. BMX racer Caroline Buchanan is a marvel of mental and physical strength in her recovery from a life-threatening accident.
That Caroline Buchanan can even do this again is one thing. that she wants to says it all about the fortitude of a champion BMX racer.
That really puts you into the shoes of my office. That's the adrenaline that I love.
When lockdown started,
Hello.
Buchanan reset.
New Olympic goal, July 2021.
Home from the US to isolation.
Welcome to my quarantine location.
Her boyfriend's 500-acre property outside Canberra, a BMX and mountain biking wonderland.
I think a real asset for me is going through 2.5 years of different complications and setbacks. It really is the time, I think, just to step up and elevate.
The setbacks: a life-threatening off-road accident, intensive care, 9 surgeries. Sponsors like Oakley doubled down. And look at Caroline now.
To be having 130 kilos on my back on a squat, to be deadlifting, to be rope climbing, and make sure that I can have the strongest body that I can to also, bounce when I hit the ground and not break.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Oh, best of luck to Caroline. And I hear you were a bit of a BMX bandit in your day.
Yeah, nothing like Caroline. I think I came last in my only race and decided to give it away.
Yeah, call it a day.
Thanks, Jack. Melina is next with the forecast, and Mel, it'll feel like winter at the end of the week.
It will, Mike. A significant system will bring rain and snow. I'll have all the details next.
It's amazing.
Next, the whole house reveal.
You hit the bloody jackpot. Congratulations, mate.
It'll make history as the best transformation ever.
Oh, my God.
But there's one opinion that matters most. What will Mum think?
I'm really shaking. I'm so happy for you.
The must-see whole house reveal coming up next on 7.
It's more important than ever to stay close. And you can, with unlimited standard calls for eligible pensioners to local, national and Australian mobiles from a Telstra home phone.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
The first thing I do after waking up to a delicious breakfast of Be Natural cereal is go right back to bed. Be Natural. Everyday goodness for real people.
To keep us all safe and to help our health workers, it's vital to know quickly if you've come in contact with someone who has tested positive for coronavirus. It's why we've introduced the COVID Safe app. With your privacy protected by law, COVID Safe keeps a secure note of other users you've been near if you have to go out. So, if they test positive for coronavirus, you'll be notified. It'll help us stop the spread sooner so we can get back to the things we love. Download COVID Safe today. Authorised by the Chief Medical Officer, Canberra.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mum.
Mars. Enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good.
Diane has loved her home for 25 years. Now it's helping fund her retirement while she lives in it. Terry and George's home funded their kitchen renovations. Bon appetit, Terry. The income Dave gets from his home equity lets him spend more time with his grandkids. The wealth you've built up in your home could fund the lifestyle you want. What are you doing with your household capital? Call 1300 622 100.
It's a time of chaos.
This gets out, we're looking at a damn race war.
In Stan's brand new series, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels.
It's a wicked world, and it's only got you and me to save it.
All mankind needs to be the monster he truly is being told he can't.
L.A.? Oh, it's the promised land.
The brand new series, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. Now streaming only on Stan.
Busy kids have energy to burn. If you want to be sure they're getting the nutrients they need to grow and thrive, shake it up with Pediasure. A delicious Pediasure health shake contains 28 essential vitamins and minerals, plus protein, pre and probiotic and omega-3, which may help support growth, immunity and a healthy appetite. Make it, shake it, love it. Kids thrive with Pediasure.
Your local Bunnings is here to help with Drive and Collect. You can shop online for a huge range of emergency repairs and maintenance essentials and pick them up without getting out of your car. We want to make it easy to get what you need. It's like having Bunnings at your fingertips.
Hello again. Showers cleared throughout the day, but there is more rain on the way in the middle of the week. The city started on 15 degrees this morning and climbed just a couple of degrees early to reach 17.8. The city recorded 14 millimetres of rain overnight, but less than a millimetre has fallen since 9 a.m. Taking a look outside now in the city, it is sitting on 15 degrees. This shower activity contracted to the east during this morning. Central and eastern parts of the state had less than 5 millimetres during the day. As this cold front moves off, a high-pressure system will move in over the Bight. It'll cross northern Victoria on Monday and Tuesday. But a strong cold front will cross waters south of the Bight during Tuesday, moving across Victoria on Wednesday. So this is a significant system. It will bring freezing temperatures and some heavy rainfall in the middle of the week. It'll begin on Tuesday night and increase by Wednesday with rain and storms throughout the day. Thursday will be very wet as well and cold with an Antarctic air mass over the state. This system has been described as a beast. We could have snow down to 1,000 metres by Thursday afternoon, and we could see rainfall totals of around 100 millimetres in some parts of the east by the end of the weekend. Between 50 and 100 millimetres could fall in central parts, which includes Melbourne. So far this month, we've had 110 millimetres. That's almost double last April. We only had 57. Around the nation for tomorrow, mostly sunny, 29 for Brisbane, 23 with a shower or two in Sydney. Adelaide is 20 and partly cloudy, and mostly sunny, 24 in Perth. But in Victoria, we could see isolated showers just about the coastal fringe during the morning, partly cloudy over the southwest and mostly sunny everywhere else. It'll be cool with light winds, 14 in Ballarat, 17 in Shepparton, just 7 at Mount Buller. It'll be mostly sunny over the suburbs with light winds and weak afternoon Bayside sea breezes, 18 in Geelong, 17 in Watsonia and 17 at Frankston as well. Sunny in the city tomorrow from a low of 9. It should get to 18 degrees and we should make the most of that sunshine on Monday and Tuesday because Wednesday will be wet. Up to 25 millimetres is forecast, and by Thursday we will have wintry showers, a top of just 13 degrees. Those chilly temperatures continue on Friday and Saturday with more showers. They start to ease on Sunday, a shower or two, 15 degrees. So make sure you get outside tomorrow, Mike, before that wintry weather arrives.
The beast. I'm looking forward to that. Thanks, Mel. And that's the latest from our Melbourne newsroom this Sunday night. We'll have updates throughout the evening, but for now, from the 7 News team, thanks for your company. Have a great night.